Hi, I'm Reti, and welcome to my YouTube channel about our fairy life in central Portugal. This is officially the first video in my channel, and we have just bought our land. So me and my husband, we just bought a piece of rustic off-grid land, and we are finally ready to start our off-grid journey. In this video, I want to share with you a little bit about our experience for looking for the land, our journey through different regions of Portugal. I want to share with you everything we learned and what we have found out about different areas, the vibe in different areas, the prices, and so on. So of course, this is only our experience and you will need to make your own experience. But maybe I can inspire you somehow or give you some useful tips or maybe even save you some time. So our story is that around a year and a half ago, I started to feel a strong pull to live closer to the nature and grow my own food and live a more sustainable lifestyle in general. So both me and my husband, we started to read books, watch documentaries, and look up all kind of information about sustainable living. And what we found out was pretty shocking. Honestly, we became more and more aware that what is happening in the planet right now, it's not fun. And if we as humankind will not make a radical change in the next 50 years, then the planet, including the humans, will probably just not survive. I mean, the planet will survive, but us as humans, there is not a lot of perspective for us to survive if we continue the lifestyle as we have lived until now. So our conclusion was, be the change you want to see in the world. And we decided we have to do it. We have to make the radical change in our lifestyle. And our decision is that we have to move to the countryside and start to grow our own food and really live as simple as possible. First of all, we lived in Tenerife in this point, so we looked a little bit around in Tenerife to buy land, but very soon we found out that in Tenerife it's very hard to live sustainable life. The climate is perfect, but the water situation in Tenerife is less than perfect. So we had to look somewhere else. And we made some research, and pretty soon we came to Portugal. And why we like Portugal is that it's still Europe, it's EU, and we as European citizens, it makes everything easy for us. The climate is good, and the prices of land seem to be pretty nice. And another big aspect for us was the community aspect. We found out that there are already a lot of people doing what we want to do. So we will not be alone in the middle of nowhere. For us, this was an important aspect as well. So we decided to give it a try. So last summer, we decided to check out Portugal first, to not just jump in the water in an unknown place. So we came here for a month of holiday and we traveled around Portugal. We checked out different regions and we just wanted to see if we really want to move here. And the answer was glowing yes. We checked different regions. We had 4 weeks of time. So we came over the sea with our camper van so we started from Spain actually, from kind of Sevilla, and we started from the coast, the south coast of Portugal, from Algarve. Algarve is beautiful, the sea is beautiful, but for us it was kind of too similar to Tenerife. Tenerife is very dry and desert-like, so is Algarve. And for us, in this point, we were craving for green nature. So we had to continue towards north. We checked out the areas on the coast around Lisbon. And the more towards north we came, the more we liked it. We also looked around in Nisa area in the first journey, and around Nisa for us it was still a little bit too dry and hot. So when we arrived in Coimbra region, we started to really love it. It was kind of green, it reminded us of kind of Central Europe, and we really loved it. And we were pretty sure that this is the area we want to move. So we went back to Tenerife. We finished up everything in Tenerife, and we got rid of as much stuff as we could. And everything that was left, we packed into our camper van, and we headed towards Tenerife this year in April, so April 2022. Since we had a kid with us, so my husband's son, my stepson, 9 years old, moved with us. He had been with us as well on the first journey last summer, and he loved it. He wanted to come back. So we didn't want to just come here with the van full of stuff and have nowhere to live. So we had rented an apartment. We found it before online. In the rural areas of Portugal, it's pretty hard to find apartments for long-term rent because people usually just live where they live, or there are holiday rentals. So we were really happy to find this place, and on the map it seemed to be really close to Arganil. It seemed to like 10 kilometers from Arganil. We were like, yeah, it's a really nice place because Arganil Tapua was the area we wanted to look for. When we arrived there, we were very surprised when we were driving already 45 minutes in the mountains and in the mountains and in the mountains, and the mountains didn't want to finish. So we realized that the place we had rented were very, very deep in the mountains. And the mountain roads are kind of like this. So what looked in the map to be 10 minutes away from Arganil, in reality was more than 45 minutes on a dirt road. The mountains were really, really beautiful, I have to admit, but it was way too remote for us. So the first thing we understood is that we don't really want to live very remote in the mountains. So we kept on looking for the land in the area. We looked in different more around Arganil, around Tapua. It was beautiful and green. But pretty soon we started to understand another important thing, that most of the beautiful greenness in this whole area that we had really liked comes from the eucalyptus plantations. Yeah, they're beautiful, they're green, they smell really, really good. I really like the smell of eucalyptus. But the eucalyptus plantations are usually the main cause of the forest fires. And if they're not caused, they are at least in eucalyptus, it's basically paper. That's why they grow it. And paper burns like paper. Paper burns like paper. So eucalyptus plantation, when it gets into fire, it just burns like paper. And living in this area for a month, we got to know a lot of people who had lived there for a while and who had lost everything in the forest fires. So all this fire risk thing became a reality for us. We had heard about before, of course. We had been in the area before. We knew that the fires are possible. But living there with those people, we started to understand the severeness of the fire risk. We looked at the properties in this area. We looked for maybe 15, 20 properties. There were a few which we actually liked.
Da ist deine Küche. Und da ist deine Gasding. Schau mal, das sind deine Gas.
Wow. But the prices in this area were usually around, at least the properties that we liked, which were around 1.5 to 2 hectares. That's what we were looking for, with a ruin, with a water source, like well or something. And the price for the properties that we liked was around 75,000. Honestly, that was a little bit over our budget. And the other thing which finally actually turned us really off was that we started to realize that, I mean, we knew it before, right? But we still started to realize it only after living in the area and looking for so many different properties, that there are no trees, because all the trees burned down. It's like hundreds of kilometers of land that has been burnt down. So only trees basically are young trees that less than 5 years old, and there are shrubs, a lot of shrubs, so everything is overgrown. Like the properties in this area were seriously overgrown. And first of all, the land agents, they usually didn't come with us. Not usually, actually never. None of the land agents actually came with us to look at the properties. They just sent us the GPS coordinates, and we went there ourselves. And the properties, most of them were so overgrown with brambles, because in the forest fire 2017, everything what was there had burnt down, and everything that grew back since then was basically brambles. So we had to literally cut our ways through the brambles. First we cut our ways through the brambles with pocket knife. Sometimes we got really stuck. There was one place where we got so stuck in the brambles that we didn't even find the house, literally. Land agent had told us that there is a house on the property, but we literally couldn't reach it because it was so stuck between the brambles. In the end, we actually bought a machete. We really bought a machete just to go for looking at the properties, to just cut our way through the brambles. We literally bought a machete for it. So my first tip for you, if you're looking for a land in Coimbra district, you definitely need a machete. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but this is the reality there. So after living for a couple of months in Coimbra district in Portugal, we were finally not so romantic anymore about the idea of living in a forest, because we realized that forest in Portugal always comes with a very high fire risk. And we really wanted to have trees on our property, I mean big trees, and we realized that in this area it's basically impossible to find a property that has big trees, because basically all the trees had burnt down already. So after all this, we decided to move on and discover some other areas. So we moved to Marvao. So now we are in Marvao. It's in Porto Alegre district. And as you can see, it's totally different vibe here. There are huge, beautiful trees around, and it's all actually, the whole area is a national park. It's really, really beautiful. I have to admit, the ambience here is amazing. I really love it. It is much drier, obviously. When we came from Coimbra district, we realized it's much drier here. But despite the dryness, the forest fires haven't been in this area for a long time. There are those amazing huge trees, which I really love. So we have looked at some properties in this area, but first of all, there are not many available. The property market is not as full as in other areas. And the ones which we liked, which are available, they are usually large farms, like 15, 20 hectares, with a colonial style house on them. They're amazing. Some of them can be really beautiful, but the price would be around 200,000. And for us, that was way over our budget. We have also looked at some other properties in the price range of 30,000-40,000, but those, at least the ones we saw, they did not have a water source, so no well, no river, nothing, and they didn't have a ruin. And in this area it's a national park, so if you don't have a registered ruin on your land, it's almost impossible to get a building permit because it's a national park. And in a national park it's meant to be a nature reserve, and we have to agree with it. It's nice to have a nature reserve, right? So the building permits in this area are way more difficult than in some other areas. So for us, this was basically the decision after seeing those properties here that we have to move on, and we moved to Castello Branco area because we figured out that we have seen in Castello Branco area there are a lot of properties available in the price range that is suitable for us, and we continued looking in Castello Branco area. But I think this video is getting too long now, so I will stop here. So thank you for watching. I hope you found some useful tips in this video. We will make another video about Castello Branco district and how we finally found our land and why did we like exactly this land. We will probably also make a land introduction video. Some of you have seen already our previous land video. Honestly, this was not supposed to go in YouTube. This video was really meant only for our friends and family. We put it in YouTube only because it was too long and I didn't expect anyone to find it. But if you have seen it, thank you for watching.